Good Friday evening or Saturday morning, racing fans, and welcome to this final edition of this week's Link to the Past Randomizer Daily Race. And they are already off. I'm going to let 5D100, my co-com, explain what's going on here.
Howdy, howdy. As we are getting right into things, this is a fast Ganon seed, and it looks like a red pendant in desert. The other two are crystals. But, Rosé, oh yeah. So this is a fast Ganon seed, where Ganon is open right now, but they just need to get all 7 crystals in order to hop in and actually do damage. Otherwise, I mean, kind of falling down a hole for none, you know? Either way, I'm still excited for this. Let's see here. Looks like we have a, what is that, a Fox Sprite in the top left. You have a Pikachu in the top right. A Pac-Man Ghost in the bottom left. And a Vaporeon in the bottom right. That's what.
Another good show. All of the sprites that the Link to the Past Randomizer community has on display here. So yeah, Itium, Gambitchu, Signums, and Adalor are going to take us through this seed. In total, there are 18 runners playing this open fast Ganon, so this could turn out to be very interesting.
Oh, definitely. Me and my co-com, Zervian, were talking before this, and we're thinking, you don't actually need to go into Ganon's tower, all things considered, considering that Ganon's already open. But if you did need to go in, the only thing I could think of is if 3 swords are in Ganon's tower and 1 sword is outside.
Does sound like the worst case scenario, since you do need 2 swords to actually damage Ganon. I wouldn't expect it, but it's more likely than you think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, 22 checks in Ganon's tower, could happen.
Also
That being said,
swords in the first place.
Doesn't look like we have much in terms of forest so far.
Gambitchu and Adalor now showing us that, we're going to have 5 hearts entering Kakariko, but no bombs, not a lot of money. So not much to work with to start off here.
But Itium is actually going to go ahead and grab these bushes down here for a chance at bombs, so. Meanwhile, Gambitchu, Signum, and Adalor look like they're going to go ahead and just dive straight in.
There are a lot of 3 bomb drops in the item pool to begin with, so you could get lucky, and Adalor and Gambitchu are going to take that chance. It looks like we're going to see a bow in the well.
Ooh, that's always nice to see. Oh, and bombs. There we are.
Adalor has the same luck here.
No, but 50 rupees, so they'll be able to... And literacy. Okay.
And Vanilla's second set of bombs in the well, so Gambitchu's now sitting pretty on 5 bombs. Adalor's going to have to double back to get the second check at a blindside. I think Itium saw something he wanted to see. That's a bottle sitting on the race game, so now going the south to north route through Kakariko Village, he's going to be able to do Sick Kid early.
He is indeed. And all the other runners are going to have to go ahead and double back if a bomb isn't otherwise available. I mean, and there's a shovel too, so... This will be interesting.
Already seeing a fetch quest.
It's always nice to see shovel this early, because you're going to be heading that way anyway when you do your south shoulder check.
Well, Adalor's probably going to be a little bit glad that he went back to Blindside, because that is an ether coin that Gambitchu unearthed back there.
The only use for it is opening up either Misery Mire and Ganon's Tower. Oh, and a mirror on the vendor. Oh, that's always exciting. So that coin could be useful.
Ether does another couple of fun things that might make a few rooms a little more interesting. If you need it to bail yourself out of a host of Stalfos or Gyptos, for example, it's a one-shot kill.
Really?
It does, however, sort of do some not nice things to your magic meter, so I don't think we'll be seeing that from these runners.
I had no idea about the Gyptos. That's fascinating.
They also died of Bombos. Bombos, the underutilized medallion.
Doesn't it? Bombos is the best medallion. Though
Alright.
Quake is a close second because it gets rid of dead rocks. And no one likes dead rocks, you know?
Alright, so ETM is going to buy his set of 10 bombs and immediately go to the top of the village, where he will find that there were 6 bombs waiting for him in the well. I think Sick Kid only had just a little extra money for us. Again, not really a bad thing, but not something super important. So Gambachu is choosing to leave the bottle on race game.
If there isn't another... Oh. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go ahead and first grab an extra bomb, just in case he needs it, and head up to check his shovel check. And
I usually only like doing this if I have a glove and I can just take the faster way down to South Shore with that rock you can pick up right on the side there. But Gambachu is going to just go back to the house and do the short walk down.
That's not too bad.
Actually, it's looking like he's going to go straight over to Eastern.
That's interesting. I mean, with a bow, you can definitely full clear it. Because you don't need a sword. You just need a bow.
And even though the logic would expect you to have a lamp or a fire rod, I wouldn't put it past him to do this entire dungeon in the dark.
Definitely. It's not that hard to do in the dark. Sure, after the big key door, it's a little bit harder, but, I mean, it's not too bad. It's not the worst.
Alright, so Rashula having for us today $100, another heart, and the swag net.
That'll be useful for runners who actually grab the bottle.
If for any reason you feel like you're not comfortable traversing through somewhere and you have a fairy drop, you can capture it and it'll give you a free 7-heart revive.
That or
I don't think we'll be seeing that either.
I mean, you could catch a bee and use that.
Send the buzzers on the loose. Why not? Now, Adalor's going to go ahead and do South Shore, and Adalor finds a hook shot in the dam.
Ooh. Interesting. I mean, that's nice to have that stun potential. Also, that'll make Mini Moldorm Cave a breeze.
Yeah, Mini Moldorms literally die to one little peg from the hook shot, and it allows you to move around a lot quicker, and it's going to give us access to some areas that are rather rich in item locations.
Oh, definitely.
Provided we find the items that give us that access.
Mm-hmm. 1 glove or 2?
It's 1 glove and a lamp logically. You can get up there with a glove if you know your way through the dark old man rescue. But a flute would put that into play as well.
Oh, you are right.
You see Signum's also going ahead to check the bottle, and ETM is going to visit our uncle. What has Uncle got for Link today?
That's the shield.
The shield. Yeah, we saw that in the opening. There's your Death Mountain, and oh my goodness.
A heart and 10 arrows.
I would say that's a pretty good cave. Pretty good Mini Moldorm cave.
Good cave.
Any day you can walk out of there with 3 unique use items is a good day. Well, passive, but the most important passive in the Moon Pearl.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you still have a few more checks without it, but, I mean, it's always nice to see firsthand. I mean, we don't have a sword, we don't have the cape, just the Moon Pearl and the mirror. I mean, that... Hera, maybe? Could the sea be directed towards Hera?
I'd be willing to bet that we're going to find a lamp or a flute very soon here.
Mm-hmm. Because, all things considered, it might be prompting him to go check the mountain. I mean, Etium is going to go ahead and do escape, so it might be there. Or it might be in Eastern.
We still have the big chest in Eastern, but we know a lamp can't be there because it's out of logic behind the big key, unless Gamachu's picked that up already. Which, he bypassed the big chest, so I can only assume it's over here. It's showing us our guards have the bomb drop pool, or at least some variant of, because that was an 8 bomb, and there's
That's
your
a
hammer.
hammer.
That's Dark World access.
That is Dark World access. So, looks like we have a dead Aga.
Yeah, the hammer, the 20 rupees on the lumberjack, and the moon pearl basically said, "Night night, Aga. We won't be seeing you at all in this one."
Meanwhile, EDM's actually going to go ahead and use the hammer to kill the ball and chain guard and pick up 10 stacks.
Right now, Gamachu is going to make that play to do the back of Eastern in the dark. Using those arrows to peg where the Igor is and then just give him a shot and he's done. And now all Gamachu needs to do is find the door to the back.
Nope. I think they missed the Igor.
They might have. And when you lose that Igor in the dark, it's not easy to find him again. Especially with a limited supply of arrows.
I think Gamachu is regretting not picking up that bottle.
Well, the bottle doesn't actually do anything for you here. It's pre-filled with green, which you can just use on the... Well, yeah. But I wouldn't think that he'd be worried about his HP when you can just dip out.
I mean... Oh, looks like Igors have a bomb pool as well. But... I mean... It would be nice to have that little bit of safety. Especially considering that... There's what? 13 arrows. Oh wait, 18 now. 23. Okay, yeah, now.
Yeah, he's fine. We saw Signum decide to go give Agina a visit, and I didn't see anything of serious note there either. So our runners are going to have to make their way into Escape to find their hammer. But they may choose to skip out on the logic here. If you really think about it, that means the lamp can be basically anywhere.
$27 arrows. Yeah, this should be easy for him.
And that's a quick kill setup if you've ever seen it, and it's gone.
Oh, some interesting quick kill strats, actually.
So Signums is actually following the book. He's going into desert.
That's a smart play, actually. Because, I mean... Unless it's going to lead to lamp, in which case... Then we know... Okay, it wants them to go up Hera.
Now we saw... Adalor skipped Ice Rod Cave, so now E-Team's going to give us a look at what hides inside. There's really not much that would seriously... Oh, hello.
Flippers.
Never mind.
That opens up quite a bit. Opens up Big Fish. It opens up Waterfall. It opens up quite a lot.
Well, to be fair, the Big Fish was already open with the glove, but now he's a lot easier to get to.
That's good.
So E-Team's going to follow those flippers right away, and now Gamachu is going to find the news that there was a glove and a moon pearl waiting down here in South Shore. And Signums is going for something. It's their second bottle.
With a bee in it.
There's that bee you wanted. Alright, ITM following flippers. We have to see if Hobo has anything that might be telling us what we might need later. Now,
just rubies.
And now Adalor is going to take his shot at Armos Knights. He's going to be in roughly the same condition that Gamachu was in when he enters this one.
Mm-hmm.
Signum's being the first person to go to the back of Escape and show us these 3 checks.
Though, with having Rod right there, he can easily just go ahead and kill those without wasting all of his arrows. He has a full 30. Meanwhile, looks like we have our first Dark World entrance. Let's see if we get a map check.
That we do.
Red Pendant and Swamp. or red pendant in Swamp Palace. We've got a red pendant in what's it called?
Yeah, I saw a pendant on Mire, a green pendant on Turtle Rock, and your 5/6 crystals tonight are going to be in Palace of Darkness and Swamp. So those flippers are going to be hard required later on.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and the Cane of Samaria waiting for us in Hype Cave. If that's not hype, I don't know what is.
I mean, it not very.
Yeah, you're right.
Cave. I mean, it's not even inside the actual cave. In reality, it's just a hype man standing outside the cave formerly known as Hype, just to remind us of its glory days. That's what it is.
So it's interesting to note that with Mire and Turtle Rock both pendants, that Kane could be telling us that one of these two dungeons has progression for us.
I think Idiom is actually going to go ahead and take a dip into Swamp.
He's going to do a swordless Swamp Palace. That is a spicy call this early.
It really is. Meanwhile,
that...
Adalor is going to go ahead and dive down into Escape, and he's going to get his hammer.
I can't imagine Gamachu will be too far behind, although, like ATM, he's chasing the Flippers checks. Now, this is interesting. Swamp Palace, of course, has 6 items available. The Cane, being in Hype Cave, allows us to do a couple little skips here, a lot easier than damaging yourself with bombs.
So, are you ready to see a bunch of menu main for the boss?
Well, in this circumstance, it would have to be a menu boss, wouldn't it? We don't have a sword yet.
Nope.
There's someone out there that I once heard is known for saying, you can count on a sword in Swamp Palace.
I don't know about that.
Powder's nice too.
The only thing I can think of Swamp Palace being good for is wasting your time.
Well, in this case, it's a crystal. There's not going to be any time wasted going in here this early because it's already fully in logic.
Depends on if anything is on the left.
We'll have to wait and see if Itium makes that call, as Adalor is finishing up his traversal through the castle, getting his little arrow refill.
Also, it looks like Gamachu is going to go ahead and check back of Escape.
I actually would have thought that Adalor was thinking about mirroring to the front and trying Dark Cross. And then he saved and quit.
It looks like a map is on Dark Cross. Unless I missed it. Or not? I guess I missed it earlier.
He hasn't done the back yet. I didn't see the map, I think. So it's very possible if we don't see either of our runners decide to go, through the dark here. Whatever it is, it's still out of logic anyway.
Oh, it looks like Adalor is going to go ahead and do a Houlihan room to get enough rupees with Zora.
That usually only set up if you plan to fake Flipper up to Zora. Now, Adalor hasn't checked Ice Rod Cave yet, so we know the Flippers are already there and available. You wouldn't have to even think about putting yourself in the danger of a one-hit KO.
Well, I mean, doing a Houlihan, especially when you're low on cash, is always important. I remember the last race I was in, all of our runners had to go and grind for rupees by entering into, what was it?
Are you talking about this week's Ambrosia?
Yes.
That was possibly the worst start to a seed I've ever had.
Oh, that was awful. Because you had to grind for rupees to get to Zora, who had Moon Pearl, and just... it was so bad.
I wonder how many of us actually made the Aga play on a seed that bad. We won't see Aghanim here today. Instead, we're going to see a bomber down from Itium. Well, he misses the first try.
If I remember correctly, I know at least one of our runners did.
Gamachu now getting the heart from the sunken treasure location, and Adalor is making a different call than the rest of our runners. It looks like he's headed to Village of Outcasts.
Ooh. That'll be interesting.
So,
A lot of
wholesale
divergence.
divergence the whole way through here.
Surprised none of our runners deciding to dip into Spectacle Rock. Or, not Spectacle Rock, Death Mountain. Considering all the item density that's up there.
I think the serious thought school here is that it's still out of logic without a lamp or a flute. And even though our runners are, logic is basically and generally a suggestion, you want to kind of stay, there's your lamp. You kind of want to stay where the seat's telling you to go. In the case that with all this progression early, you end up finding it dry. Now, Itium finding the lamp on left side of swamp tells us something we might want to know about this seed.
Looks like we don't have a flute just yet, then.
But the lamp puts it in logic.
Indeed it does.
And it's also our fire source for both Desert and Hera. Desert, of course, a pendant.
Of course, this could mean that we don't have a flute this seed, and could mean that Mr. Meyer not required at all.
You may never have to go there, but it's still too early to know.
Indeed it is. Anything can happen in these seeds.
Alrighty, and a shout-outs to the 30 of you that are joining us from Speed Gaming 4. This is our Link to the Past daily race. We're playing an open fast Ganon tonight.
So far, we've got plenty of divergence between our runners.
And Gamachu getting the sad news that Desert is indeed boots locked. Well, actually, that might actually breathe a sigh of relief, because we know it's a pendant and we probably don't want to have to come back.
I would only come back if it's absolutely necessary. It looks like Edium... Oh, he doesn't have any bombs, so he can't do a diver down.
He does have the cane, but it's very possible that you only know one setup or the other. For the longest time, I only knew how to do it with a cane. I had to actually grind out learning the bomb diver down. So Adalor decided to take a hammer-only dip into Thieves' Town. And I don't think you noticed, but he found a second bow in Thieves' Town, so we are on silvers.
That'll make it easier for him to go ahead and do all of his different bosses. I mean, he already killed Armos Knights, but let's see, what other bosses? We have King Helmasaur, that can die in one hit. Let's see. There's, oh, it looks like a little bit of love on Master Sword, so fortunately Ped is dead. Where was I? Oh yeah. So, what bosses are weak to silvers? I know Dark Desert Palace, but probably aren't going to see that.
Silvers will damage Lamulus, as you just mentioned. They will take one shot to the crystal on the Helmasaur King's head after you destroyed the mask that cut protects him. One silver shot will finish Argus, again, after you've killed all the Argai that surround him. And we're hoping not to have to see Vitreous, but if we do, that'll make that fight very easy. And so far, we're only 23 and almost 24 minutes in. We've got 4 runners on the screen here and 14 more in the background. Itium's already fighting his first Dark World boss. And making it look easy at that.
Job on that too, like hitting two of these puffs at one time. Definitely impressive. Meanwhile, Signum's decided to dip into Skull Woods.
Yes, and now we have 3 different Dark World dungeons all at the same time here. And not having silvers, Itium is going to take the hammer to the second phase of Argus. This is 4 pounds.
One. This is the second. There's
And
two.
speaking of hammer, unless there's a sword in one of these last two checks, Adalor is going to have to hammer blind.
4. That's not too bad. Does it stink? Oh, absolutely. But it's not too bad. You just have to deal with a wonky hitbox. But with, I mean, he's on his second row of hearts. He should be okay.
Yeah, blind in and of himself, not an easy fight if you're on green mail and a little bit lower in percentage. Hammer's hitbox is a little bit weird and going to make that kind of an ordeal.
Oh, wait. Idiom got a sword. Where'd he get a sword?
Idiom got a sword from Argus when he dispatched the Swamp King. We have our first sword from Swamp Palace.
Looks like he made the good call and go into swamp.
And now
Oh.
look at this. He's headed toward
House
Pod.
of Darkness. Oh.
And Pod is fully in logic and a crystal. And since he didn't do Eastern earlier, he can now mirror back from Pod to Eastern and clear that up, no problem. But let's have a look at Adalor for this hammer blind fight.
This is definitely going to be an interesting fight, to say the least. Phase 1 down. Ooh, 3
You
hearts.
said Swamp was a colossal waste of time.
I did, and I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ooh.
Adalor has a fairy, so this isn't the
Ooh.
worst thing. He swiped
okay.
one in Eastern.
Okay, that's good.
Still has to be careful. 2 heads, if you body one, you take 2 hearts. These fireballs will all do 1, and blind has 1 attack that's really kind of rude. That laser there, that can snipe you.
But
That
still
can
managed to
snipe
get
you
the-
real bad.
And gets the crystal for his troubles.
Thievestown proving to have nothing but our silver arrows, and those by themselves are going to be very useful.
Oh, definitely. 100% worth going for. Meanwhile, Idiom going and grabbing Kiki, the extortionist monkey.
So one thing we didn't mention is that ETM also found powder in Swamp Palace, and that is a nice safety to have, and it could be something pointing to Magic Bat as having our progression.
Could indeed. It's always interesting to see a Magic Bat play. I mean, especially considering we have Hammer. We have, so many different checks open right now. I'm not sure
I think
where this
most
team
runners
wants
would wait to
go.
do it until you have your Titan's Mitt and get that done as part of Smith Chain. As we see that we have a key in the shooter room of Pod, so that bow will only be useful for giving us a little bit more to work with here. Now I think ETM has forgotten that he doesn't have a key. So he'll pick up a bomb here.
Oh, he was going for the bomb, I think.
Yep, you have 1 key, my friend. This door is locked. So instead of getting the chest in Arena, he's going to get the Stalfos basement chest instead, which is a key. Kind of has to be. Thanks to the key logic in Palace of Darkness, you will always find at least 4 keys waiting for you in the front.
Hence why most people call it. Why? Because it's all business up front and it's a party in the back.
So Adalor has chosen to do the loop from Village of Outcasts down into the Swamp Palace area. Not a bad call, honestly.
It really isn't.
Because he'll
You can do a
also
couple of
check
checks.
Cave 45 on his way by here.
And he'll probably also check Stumpy as well.
And that's
Ooh,
our 3rd bottle.
potion.
So that's a lot of bottles to work with here for later game.
It definitely is.
Alright, ETM traded a key for a key in the Vanilla Big Key location of Pond, so he's going to go right side now.
Thankfully, he doesn't have to worry about doing the clip or having to worry about doing the potion. Thankfully, we've already got 2 potions, so I mean, you didn't really need to worry about that, but or worry about buying one out. But
Yeah, and the logic wouldn't expect it either. Is especially having a bow early probably kind of tells you that this dungeon might have something that we want. And just a compass as a dungeon item on the right side of Palace of Darkness. He's going to mirror back and go straight down the arena chest towards the back here. Right, Signums and Gamachu are both going to have the same fate that Adalor had. They're going to have to hammer blind. But like Adalor, they're going to have plenty of HP with which to do so. In fact, Gamachu with that piece of heart is now on his 12th heart.
That's always a fun time, you know? Having plenty of health to not worry about.
So with no big key, I don't think we'll expect ATM to go for Hammer Yump. He's going to get these other few checks first. If we see another key, we'll know there's something waiting for us in Harmless Hellway. That something, of course, could be the map, could be a unique item in the pool, could be a big key. You never know.
Either way, Harmless Hallway is something you don't want to skip. As some of our runners have learned the hard way.
Now. We do see that that is not a key in Harmless Hellway, and in fact the big key is going to be in the Dark Maze. And that Gamachu taking care of blind, no problems with that fight. There's your big key, and now we get to see the last check before you face off against Helmasaur. What could it be? It's Adalor's turn to make the call on Dependent Desert. We know, of course, he's not going to have any love from the Pendant Dungeon here. Just a map in the that's vanilla location? I think it is.
I mean, to be fair, you could steal a key and go check the back. Or, not the back. Check a couple more checks.
He could. I'd be interested to see why anyone would do that unless that's absolutely gating our progression. But no, it looks like he's done. He doesn't even want the B bottle. He's just going to go straight to check Agina's cave. Alright, Gamachu's turn at the dig game. And in just a moment, now Signums will have to hammer blind. And Agina, as I recall, didn't have anything of any dire importance.
Not that I recall.
Alright, since I failed to do so yet, I do want to once again thank 5D100 for joining me on commentary tonight. Of course, I am Zeruvian. I've been around Block a few times, and it's just been a while. It's been a while since I sat back and watched a race, so here we are. But we're not the only two giving you this broadcast. Gotta give shoutouts to our trackers tonight as well, to D2 Kemps and Jinxie Earl, keeping an eye on things so we can miss stuff. Hopefully not. And of course, just an invitation to follow our runners, as we're already starting to heat up.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we still have plenty of checks to do, and, like, this so far has been a pretty open seat.
I mean, they do call it open for a reason. And now it's Adalor making the play to go over to Palace of Darkness, and Helmasaur King will drop for Itium the Quake Medallion.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. So that's all 3 medallions. So, I mean, if we need to, we can go check either both are open to bolt.
Now, pardon me, did we just miss B-Strats from Signums?
I think so.
Oh, man.
I told you that beat would be helpful.
It was a nice B, and I believe he pulled it out on blind.
That he did. And who was it that said, oh, bees aren't that useful?
Oh, I didn't say that. I just said you're not going to go out of your way to capture a bee. So now we're at an interesting crossroads. We're running out of things to check, but now
Still check Death
it'll
Mountain.
be interesting to see when one of our runners will go up to Death Mountain.
Because with Death Mountain, you can both beat Hera. We have a fire source, we have lamp. You can go ahead and check all of right side, both by going through either the hook shot path or by going up to Hera, beating it, and then going down the right end, which really wouldn't be too bad of a call, considering that we need to go ahead and do that anyways to...
Now we missed something of very interesting importance here. Remember what our 5-6 crystals were? What are the two bosses ATM's down so far?
Oh, that'll be interesting. We could do a fair check.
That we can. Chat pointing that out. He can already go to Pyramid Fairy. Wow.
Not only that, but like, he can also check what's on the pyramid too. So that's 3 checks he can do.
And yes,
So-
Kate Verna showing up does put Spike Cave into logic as well, and we have at least 1 green potion in hand, so that is basically a free check for us when we get to Dark Death Mountain. Of course, we can't do the east side of Dark Death Mountain without a mitt, but that could show up any time in any of these spheres that we have available. Now, Gamachu also making the play at Swamp, which means he's going to see a sword on Argus and, probably wish he had it beforehand. See, I don't know about you, but if I saw Kane that early in Hype Cave, I might be a little bit worried about my pendant layout. Alright, now where does Signums want to go after this? I would think it's either Pod or Swamp here. Let's see which direction he decides to walk in. And it's up to Pod. The other couple things we really haven't looked at yet. We have not seen Zora. Of course, none of our runners currently have 500 rupees, but that's going to be easy to fix. We have not seen the Pyramid, which Signums is going to opt to check right now. And we have not seen Catfish, which is everyone's favorite location to hate.
I mean, it's so out of the way. So, I mean, of course people would hate it.
Catfish is one of those locations you kind of wish you don't have to go to for progression, because there's really no friendly way to route it in. You only ever do it if you're coming up from Pyramid, or you're coming from Aga, which means you're on the Pyramid to begin with, or you're done at a pod and it's a long walk. And Signums is going to go for the red boomerang sitting on the Pyramid ledge.
Truly the worst of the boomerangs.
ATM dispatches Armos Knights and has now his 3rd crystal at just under 39 minutes in. The only thing I would say that compares Catfish to Shactul is a hurry up and wait, and Catfish is just a long heck of a walk. With a glove, Catfish has been in logic since we entered the Dark World, so that very well could be holding something.
Of course, considering all that they have, I would wait a bit to do it. Because, I mean, if you think about it, we still have all of Light World up there to check as well. So, I mean, you can do a bunch of checks all at once. So, I'd definitely make the trip up to Catfish once I have the money for Zora. Because, if you think about it, you can do Catfish, then you can mirror over, do the 2 checks in the waterfall, you can check Zora Ledge, and you can check Zora. So that's 4 checks. 5.
Going to say,
5.
I do not envy Adalor his position in going through Dark Maze with nothing but a hook shot and a bow to guide his way. But he's got a fury in the arsenal, so let's see if he sticks with it.
Nope. Just a little bit of love.
Now, earlier our trackers reminded us that the map was in Sanctuary. ATM checking Dark Cross and gets just another piece of heart. I do love it when the runners show that off. You can actually go to the front of Sanctuary if you have a mirror and you choose to spawn there. It puts you at the last door that the game would have expected you to go in. And 5D, here's that play you've been waiting for. ATM is going to traverse up to Death Mountain.
This is definitely going to be a fun check. For us, at least. Not for the runners.
Death Mountain has a good number of checks in and of itself. With that hook shot, you can do Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave. Them alone are 8 locations. Not to mention Crystal Hera, which is fully in logic with the lamp now, having a weapon to kill Moldorm. And of course, the old man's got a present for taking him home, and there's 2 items to look at on Spectacle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Definitely plenty of things they can check.
Old man's just like, here, have this pocket change. Thank you for rescuing me, son. Alright. This looks like it's going to be the Hera call from Etium for just this moment at least. And now Gamachu has a sword as he is taken care of. Oh, look at what's on Spectacle Rock.
Did you catch that? It was on screen for half a second, so I missed it.
Now you can see it. What does that look like to you?
A hand warmer.
But then up here saying, hey, it's probably on the mountain for the past 20 minutes. And there's Etium. He's going to be the first runner on screen to get the Titan's Mitt. Forget everything I said about not being able to check East Death Mountain. That just opened up in another 7 or 8? 7 checks between Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny. You can also look to see if Turtle Rock is something that you might consider, but first we might want to find a fire rod at the very least.
Indeed. Though, looks like there's just a little bit of love on our tablet to the left. Is that almost? I think it's fine.
It's actually starting to look like the fire rod would still veer you over to Skull Woods. I didn't see how many of the items were in the front. And Etium's going to set up for the Hera pot here.
He does have a fire source, never mind.
Dark. Both are in pod at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. And that is where Gamachu is going now, having the lamp.
Honestly, thinking about it, this isn't a bad play on EDM's end, because he can easily go ahead and just... He can finish Hera, he can warp out. Okay, so just bombs. If anything's on Mordorm, he'll know. Okay, looks like in the basement there's an item, and you can grab it, and then just mirror out. That's one thing you can do. Let's see. I mean, other than that, I mean, there's quite a few options. But I think EDM made the right choice in going up all the way first.
Now, Adalor went ahead and did possibly the hardest single dark room in the entire game outside of Meyer. With that turtle room and pod basement, it is not fun to have to try to find those 6 terrapins in the dark. And 3 pounds with the hammer, and Itium has dispatched Moldorm for his 4th crystal. We already have bombos for Ice Palace, so what could we possibly be looking for here, besides another sword? And there's Palace of Darkness done for Adalor. 1 silver to the crystal on the forehead of Halmasaur takes care of that for him. But this is what we want to see right here. What could possibly be waiting on East Death Mountain?
Either way, this is a whole bunch of checks right here. And, although we're gonna have a slow climb. Oh, is that a flute? I think that was a flute I just saw.
A flute on the floating island would give us a little bit of fast travel, but it also could be a harbinger of bad news. Knowing we have all 3 medallions, a lamp, and a cane, that puts Meyer on the table.
It does. Thankfully, Meyer isn't too bad. I mean, it's a slog to get through, don't get me wrong, but it's not the worst. Because, I mean, whether you...
The one progressive item you could hope to find now would be your fire rod, because that puts basically all of your crystals completable, and that I would almost call that go mode if you find another sword first.
That is, unless, of course, I somehow managed to call all crystals being in Ganon's.
Somehow managed to commentator curse this. Well, let's hope.
I did. I would give myself a hand.
Ooh, I didn't see what color that was. But that was a rod. I'm seeing the trackers lit up the ice rod. So we have an ice rod in Paradox Cave to be our first interesting...
There's a cape? There's the second sword. Okay. So... yeah, we just need a fire rod and we're in go mode. You have to spin them in order to do it, but I mean, can you do it? Yes, you can.
Master Sword Ganon is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. It is definitely a doable thing, and if you've done it before, and these runners have, they know what they're up against.
It is definitely not fun, to say the least.
Now look at this one. Signums and Adalor almost step until Signums fell in the water. They're both gonna go check out what King Zora has.
This should be interesting.
Also interesting, neither of these runners have yet been back to Ice Rod Cave to pick up their flippers.
Did they just forget about that location, or are they just going to go back later?
The Ice Rod Cave is a trendy location that you might want to skip until you have a flute. The flippers are going to be important, and it's the reason they have not yet been to Swamp Palace. Oh, there's your Fire Rod! Fire Rod in Hookshot Cave. Itium is our first runner that may be declaring go mode here.
It's go mode. He has Master Sword. He has all the items he needs. That's go mode if I've ever seen it.
And those last 3 dungeons are not a tall order by any stretch of the imagination.
And checking chests along the way for those silvers. Of course, we know it's on in Thieves Town, if I remember correctly. But I would still go ahead and check for them.
It is starting to look like if we see the boots, they might not give us anything but a little bit of go fast, but there is that 1 in 22 chance that the Ganon Tower Big Key is waiting on the torch. So, this could be interesting.
Oh, this is definitely an interesting seed because, I mean, we have so many different chances for things to go wrong. I mean, but that being said, this is one of the seeds I love to see because you got Misery Mire, which is a pendant, you got Turtle Rock, which is a pendant, and you got Desert, which is a pendant as well. So I mean, you don't even need to go near the desert area. You don't need to worry about Turtle Rock. You can just ignore it and go on your way. All you need is 7 pendants, and there's his silvers. Yep. He's gonna have a fun time fighting Ganon.
That all depends on whether or not you find a sword in your travels on the way to Ganon. For example, Mothula, we still need to fight. I don't know if we've seen both items out of Skull Woods or not.
I'm not sure if we have or not.
You could absolutely run into a sword, say, going down Ice Palace. Those chests are not a lot of time to check.
They really aren't. My question is, now that he's in go mode, what all will he decide to check?
I would say
that's my question.
That's on his path, and nothing that would be out of the way.
Definitely agree.
So Smith Chain and Bombos Tablet, for example, are going to be off the table for ATM unless he decides he would be more comfortable with a third sword or a mail upgrade.
Pretty sure he did check the Bombos tablet, and I found that it was just some cash. Oh wait, no, he checked Ether, I think.
I know he
one on the mountain.
On his way to Hera, his Adalor just made the same check and found a little bit of love. Of course, Adalor is still without a sword, as is Signums. So Signums is making the call to go check Ice Rod Cave. And he will be finding a pair of flippers, and that should kind of clue him in.
Indeed it shall.
See Adalor setting up for a bufferless Harapot and just maybe a pixel off. Now, while he does that, now it's Gamatru's turn to climb the mountain. He's going to see Titan's Mitts, and I think he's thinking exactly the same as the two before him. Yeah, I want those.
Oof. Well, and deciding just to
sometimes
tower manually
when it looks like it's right. Of course, in this situation, Harapot is absolutely strictly a time save. If you don't get it your first or second try, you're always better off just going for the climb. Now we saw 2 hammer blinds, 3 hammer blinds? We saw a lot of hammer blind today. But Itium has a Master Sword, and not only does he have a sword, he's got a sword with an extra length of a pixel. So his fight against blind is going to be a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, definitely. Not only that, but he has the cane if he wanted to. He could use the cane, let it fly.
I think you don't even think about the cane if you know the blind script.
First phase of blind going down quick. Second phase. And that's a dead blind.
That is a very nicely executed blind by Itium.
Oh, most definitely. That was a great blind. Good to see that blind didn't put him in a bind.
I don't know, I didn't see it. Alright, now it's Adalor's turn to take Moldorm to Pound Town, and Signums has gone back into the Dark World, and with the flippers, he's going to Swamp Palace.
He's gonna get his sword. He's gonna start getting all of his items. This seed is just something else.
The seed's really not too bad. If you think about what we can possibly have to deal with, we could not see a sword still at this point in the race. Instead, we found two. And it basically handed us all our progression on a silver plate.
That is true. So the seed, while it's bad, it's not the worst.
ATM trying to snipe the Wallmaster before he could land, just barely misses it. And of course, that is a Crystal Chimera Yamachu now. He's going to follow Adalor east into Death Mountain to find another sword and a couple rods. This is going to put Adalor at a little bit of a disadvantage, only having the one sword until he goes to face Swamp Palace, which he cannot do until he goes back to Ice Rod Cave to get the flippers.
Unless he grabs the flute and decides, oh hey, I have the flute now, I can go, deal with, Misery Mire, and makes that detour, which would be awful.
I would think seeing the flute might make him go back to Ice Rod Cave before we think about doing Misery Mire. Because remember, he hasn't done Swamp, so Mire's technically out of logic without the lamp, and while I wouldn't put past anybody to do Mire in the dark, in no circumstance is that ever a fun situation to be in.
Meanwhile, but take it.
And that is mopped down for ATM with a number of handfuls of slashes with that Master Sword.
You just have a nice go.
And it does look like ATM is only going to have Ice Palace left on his table here, and he's going to save and quit. That's probably where he's headed.
The only way that this would have been a better seed is if Desert Palace had an Ice Palace was dependent. Then this would have been a perfect seed.
I don't know about your definition of perfect seed. Alright, Gamachu has opted to go to the top of the mountain. Adalor is making the same call. He's going to take the Turtle Rock portal to the top side of Death Mountain here on the dark.
Oh no. Is he gonna...
Uh-oh. Are we following the rods into Turtle Rock? Or are we getting ready to dip it if we have to? You know, Fire Rod was at Hookshot Cave. So I would be willing to bet that... Ooh.
Dip Hookshot Cave and then, if nothing's there, dip Turtle Rock?
We already know that there's something here. The question is, are you going to chase that and the Ice Rod into Turtle Rock? Or are you going to take it down to Skull Woods? Remember, Adalor only has one sword.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the save and quit from Gamachu. He's done. He doesn't want anything else to do with that. So he's going to go do cleanup now.
Oh, it looks like Edium's gonna do Icebreaker. And pulls it off quite well. And half magic for his troubles. That'll be nice against Ganon.
Half magic is a very convenient item to have. With cape for Ganon, with the lamp, with the fire rod, it's going to make the first two phases of the fight a lot easier, and the last two phases also easy. And you see, he's comfortable with what he has. He's just going to go.
Yeah, once I got that half magic, I'd be like, okay, yep, I'm good. Don't need to do anything else.
And exactly as I forecasted, he's only going to check the chests that are on his direct path.
You can see him debating on whether or not to check that chest, but he decided against it. Like, I could feel the hesitation that he had for just a second there.
All things considered, this turned out to be a pretty quick seed.
Oh, definitely. We're an hour in, and we've already gotten go mode. Definitely.
That, we're just over an hour in, and we're about to have our 7th crystal.
And then, it's time to fight the pig.
But first we have to get through Cold Stare, and with the half magic fire rod, this is going to be a lot easier than it looks.
Oh, definitely. I like his use of Bombos there to save on a little bit of magic.
Oh, ETM's taking a couple hugs from the Cold Stare puffs. Gonna have to be a little bit... Never mind.
That was a nice double hit with that fire rod shot, though, to finish off Cold Stare.
Fire rod's
And just a bunch of blueberries
not a
for...
joke. And you see Adalor has taken the bait. He is in Turtle Rock with both rods in hand and still no lamp.
I gotta say, can't blame him for this check. I mean, we know, as commentators, as a runner, it's not the worst jump in logic. Because, I mean, he has Kane, he has both rods. I mean, Steve may be instructing him, hey, go check TR. We know it's not, but, I mean, he doesn't.
And chat's starting to spit out numbers at us, and that means as soon as we decide that we're going to play the GT guessing game, we'll let you know. But we're playing Ask Ganon tonight. Which means the pyramid hole is pre-open. You don't need to think about Ganon's tower. We're going straight for the big boss himself.
Sorry, chat. No numbers tonight. Though, Signums actually has silvers, so it can just easily take down that eyeball squid quite handily. Question is, will EDM go check what's on the side of Pyramid, just for kicks and giggles?
Oh no, there's no reason to do that now. He'll check it, you're not going to grab it. The only thing
Is that right?
There is a sword.
I think that's exactly why he checked it, is to see if maybe it was a sword. If it was, Ganon would be free, but it isn't, so...
Alright, now going back to Adalor's Turtle Rock play, with the information that he has, this is probably a really good dip. TR is a little bit of a long dungeon to do, but it does have 5 checks, 6 if you count Mimic Cave, and he's still stuck on 1 sword.
He might be going for the sword, is the thing. Do you think that's what he's doing? Because, I mean, that's what I think he's doing.
I know Ice Rod Cave is a pretty trendy skip for basically anybody who's played this game long enough, but even with the knowledge that we have, there's basically no way that it's a comfortable thing to have to skip for as long, especially in this case where it has your progression. See, ETM has pulled out the cape to get a little invincibility on Ganon.
Not a bad choice, honestly.
Considering he's stuck at a one-hit KO mode right now, yeah, I would say it's a pretty good choice.
Throw me onto a wall,
Phase
conserve
3,
magic.
so out of the woods.
Oh, he can't use Gape anymore.
Now, if I recall,
Oh, wait.
at least 2 green bottles, and I don't think he's used it.
Yeah, I was about to ask if he had green bottles yet or not.
Now, TR itself is not out of logic in this situation, so it's reasonable that someone would dip in. It's once you get past the crystal ball room that it's out of logic.
Oh, missed up, or missed oh.
And
Does he have fairy?
a fire bat
No.
hits him. Oh, that's right. He doesn't have the lamp. Because he doesn't have the flippers. The lamp was in left side of swamp for those of us that are joining us late here. Not a good spot for a lamp. So ATM showing us the perils of doing Ganon with Master Sword and Green Mail. It's not that it's not hard, but it's not kind. It's a very strict endurance test. You have to know where to dodge and how much damage everything's going to do. Because even at 12 hearts, the Green Mail fight is extremely treacherous. You can only hug Ganon, I think, twice.
Ganon does a lot of damage.
Watch out, ATM. Gamachu is done with Ice Palace, and that means he's right on your heels.
Oof. Definitely. Though Gamachu has 2 bottles. Do you know if he used his green potion yet or not?
He ran out of magic previously and is out of green potion, if I'm not mistaken, because he did not check K45. A nice double spin off the trident, though. That's always a fun setup to make. Adalor has traversed the platform maze in the dark section of TR, and now he's going to Laser Bridge.
This is a smart pick by Idiom to turn off the cape now. To go ahead and conserve magic for when he has to light the torches.
Oh, just
No.
enough. And the Fire Bat Circle claims him again. Yikes. And again,
This is
not
not
an
going
easy
well.
fight. Now, Adalor, also in one-hit KO, goes for a laser skip and gets eyeballed. But he's...
That's a fairy.
Adalor has been making very good use of the bottles at his disposal and the bug net throughout the seed, grabbing that extra safety when he's in a perilous spot. And now Signums is trying to take care of Moldorm here, has the hammer out and ready to rumble. It's Gamachu's turn at the Big Pig.
Smart move though, turning off the cape whenever he has, just dodge or turning it on when you have to.
And Gamachu's getting some very favorable positions for Ganon here. He's going to be able to do a bunch of spins while Ganon's up in this corner. And that is phase 3 for Gamachu.
Ooh. Meanwhile, Idiom taking another bite out of Bat. Or Bat taking a bite out of him, rather.
And there's phase 4 for Gamachu. He is now 4 silver arrows away from being done with the seed.
I thought it was 5.
That's always 4. And that's a perfect setup for a double, and he nails a triple. Oh,
And that's a dead pig. GG's to Gamachu.
And the last thing you want to see on the screen while Ganon goes down is Trinex for Adalor.
Ooh. And a death for him. That hurts.
He crosses that bridge. Gamachu is our first runner on the restream and first overall on race time with a final time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 31 seconds. Big GG's to Gamachu.
Got him. That was pretty impressive. Really fast seed. Great execution. Great job. It's a shame that Idiom fell when he did. And we would have had, what, an hour, maybe 3?
And I think Idiom made the right call here, going straight for it. You have Master Sword, that's not comfortable. You have Silvers, that is. If you can get past phases 1 and 2, absolutely do it.
Definitely. You have to be careful, though. I mean, he is definitely being careful at this point, considering that he's died about 4 times to Ganon.
Alrighty, and Adalor has made the choice to take that flute and check out what is lying for us around Mire.
Oh.
And ATM is once again in phase 4 of the Ganon fight. And nailed
Actually getting torch glitch.
with the fire rod, no less. This is smooth sailing here.
What else is gonna hit it with? No question.
The only thing that could take him out now is a fire bat, but Ganon's never going to have the chance. There's the... Oh! Just a few frames short, and oh my goodness. Ganon with the evasion on this last shot from Itium. And there it is.
There we go. There's a dead Ganon. Oh man, GG's to Idiom.
Yes, GG's for Idiom, finishing second place on our restream and second overall with a time on race time of 1:12:12.
Meanwhile, Idolor showing us that in Checkerboard Cave, there was a little bit of armor. So they'll at least have a decent time getting through the Ganon fight with a little bit more of an easy time, you know? Meanwhile, they're finally going to go ahead and get their flippers. You expecting any anger slashes?
No, I think he's going to see it and go, welp, that's been there the whole time.
Anger bomb, though.
That's my move. You can't steal my move, Adalor.
It's always fun seeing runners going, oh. Is it just me, or is Idiom actually speeding up the ending?
Idiom has decided to fast forward through the credits because, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's when you fast forward during the seed, that's when you have a problem, and these runners know better.
7 of 216, so just under half the checks.
Now, Gamachu will be joining us for an interview here in just a moment, but right now we have Idiom in the chat. GG, Idiom.
Hey, GG's. That was that was a bad Ganon fight, but or
you were
5.
so close. So close.
Yeah, I almost had it on the first shot, and I just positioned myself wrong and took a hit, and then I used a lot of my magic, so I had to go without the cape for the next bunch of times, and just that's a really, really hard fight to do on Green Mail and Master Sword.
It definitely is. And you would have came in first if you managed to beat him that first time.
Oh,
Fortunately-
I figured. I was just sitting there taking death after death, and I'm just like, why is no one finished yet? I must have I must have crushed the seed, and then just couldn't finish it.
You definitely did. Though, we know where one piece of armor was. It was in Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, there's no way I was ever checking that. I didn't even pick up the flute. Because my go mode, I hit go mode right before I was about to get the flute, and I was like, it's no point.
This was a pretty fast seed, honestly.
Yo, Gamma.
And that is Gamachu joining us in chat, and a GG to you as well, my friend.
Hey there, GG's. GG's to you, Idiom.
How many times did you die to Ganon?
I heard.
How many times do you regularly die to Ganon on Master Sword? What do you two think of a Master Sword Silver's Ganon?
Oh, I mean, I should have had it on the first try. I just choked.
How many times was it for you, Idiom, in total?
It was like 4 or 5 deaths.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, I would have had like, if I had, I got to phase 4 on my first attempt, and then I just like, I don't know, I positioned myself wrong and just took a fire bat to the face, and yeah,
okay.
I would have had like a 1-0. I don't know. I got to Ganon at like what 102 or something, so I would have had like a 104, 105 if I got it the first try.
Oh, wow, that would have been a really good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad because I was abusing the cape, so I don't think I even took any damage throughout phase 1, 2, and 3. And I had a green posh too, just in case. Did you get the half magic in Ice Palace?
I did.
Yeah, so
that really helped.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was really happy to see that.
The half magic was at a very, very friendly position to pick that up. Having that green potion from the early game, there was another one available if you decided to check K45, but I didn't think either of you were going to go in that direction.
No, I mean, I hardly cleared any of the overworld. I did like Hype Cave and the mountain. And that was basically all the overworld I did in the Dark World.
You didn't do Village of Outcasts,
No,
Big Game.
no,
I
I hit go mode before I touched any of that
fast.
stuff.
Okay, so that okay, yeah.
I went straight to Swamp in the Dark World. Got my lamp, went to Eastern and Pod, and then I just went straight to Hera in the Mountain, and that was go mode.
Okay, yeah. I ended up going to Village of Outcast first, and then made a loop around to Swamp and to Pod, and then pretty much Mountain afterwards to hit go mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was pretty jet.
Definitely. I mean,
A lot of
you hit
items.
go mode, like, maybe before an hour, 50 minutes. So
I think I hit go
definitely
mode
jet
at
seed.
about 50 minutes. Yeah.
So what was your reaction when the first chest of Thieves Town gave you silvers then?
I was like, oh, that's nice. No,
Because calling a Master Sword Silverless Go mode, I don't think is anything just anyone's willing to do.
honestly, like, the Silverless isn't the hardest part of it. It's the Master Sword part. Like, Phase 2 is the hardest part by far.
I can definitely
phase,
agree with that.
Yeah, Phase 4. Like, Phase 3 is kind of hard if you get Fire Bats, and then Phase 4. Once you get into the rhythm, it's pretty much free. Well, not free, but it's easy. It's just long, that's all it is.
So do you think, for either of you, did the fast Ganon kind of play into your decision-making a little bit as you went through this, or was the seat just that jet that you said, well, yeah, we're doing this?
No, didn't really change a thing for me. Because I had... the only thing that would have changed is, like, we might not have needed... We didn't need Kane at all, whereas if we had GT, we might have needed that. But, I don't know. Didn't really matter.
That would have been
this
nice for me to
particular-
use. For Swamp at least, because I still don't know how to do Diver Down without the King of Samaria.
And I'm the opposite. I can do the bomb one. Actually, I screwed it up a couple times because I didn't have a sword, I guess. That makes it a little harder to line up. But, yeah, I can do the bomb one a lot better than the Samaria one.
Yeah, the seed had this tendency of just throwing bait items out there. The cane and Hive Cave could have given you a little bit of pause. What about that flute? Did either of you ever think, maybe I want that? Or did that
No.
fire rod literally say plenty?
The fire rod was go mode. It wasn't even worth the time to pick up the flute because you still have to activate it too. And all I had to do was go to Thieves, Skull Woods, and then Ice Palace.
Yeah, I would have picked it up, but Fire Rod pretty much same story with me. Go mode, and I don't think it was worth it because all I had was Skull Woods and Ice Palace.
Hmm.
I mean, I would have picked it up if I didn't find it up there. The Fire Rod, that is.
And all things considered, absolutely easier set of dungeons to clean up in the endgame here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been nice to go mode Village of Outcasts. These Town. How often do you get that?
Not very often, but that's always my goal. Whenever I think I might be able to go mode Village of Outcasts, I try my best to do it.
Yeah, the only best item you skipped out on was that green potion from K45.
Yeah, that would have helped me a lot, actually.
Did you go to Desert early on?
No.
Okay, I got baited into that early.
Oh. No, I didn't even do Agina or anything.
Yeah, you missed out on a single rupee in there.
Nice.
And that's one of the things that can happen when you have just items being flung about. You can be pulled in any number of directions. In Idiom's case, skipping out on the book ended up being a pretty good thing. And Desert was boots locked anyway, so it's not like you could have had too much headway within.
Yeah.
I did skip the bottle in race game, so that one bottle in Desert was the first one.
Oh, yeah, I got the race game bottle.
I was gonna get it if I didn't have shovel, but I thought, I have the shovel, which I want to do the dig spot, and I don't want to backtrack to Kakariko to do, Sick Kid. That seems
Yeah,
like awkward body.
I did sank to Lost Woods, and I didn't have any palms or money. So then I just did South Cac. So I got the bottle first on my way into Kakariko.
Did you end up doing the shovel right after Kakariko?
Yeah, I walked down for that. You can never skip shovel.
No.
You can never skip shovel. Well, in this case, we had two runners on our restream skip the flippers in Ice Rod Cave until kind of late.
Oh, is that what happened to them? That's rough.
Yeah, Ice Rod Cave is a location that once in a while you'll want to skip it until it's more convenient to check it. Do you two have any thoughts on when you should route that in?
I think you should always do it after Mini Moldorm Cave, except in like really rare circumstances. I mean, if you have the flute, that makes it easy to get back to, but we didn't have the flute, so
Yeah,
just get it out of the way.
if you have Dark World access already by that point, I usually tend to skip it unless I have boots or, save it till later until I get a flute or something. But I was still looking for Dark World access. I also see they got Blue Mail. Where did they get that at?
It was in Checkerboard Cave.
Oh.
Yeah, they both got a flute and went to the mire area, and then they used the flute to draw them back over to Ice Rod Cave, like we just talked about.
Right.
But first sword on Argus, lamp in Swamp Palace. Looks like the seed wanted us to do Swamp first the whole way here.
Yeah, you could have go moded Swamp, but you got everything for it so early that it would be kind of weird not to.
Yeah, it's really risky, skipping left side that early on.
Yeah.
Hey, 5D, you have anything you want to ask our runners?
I do have one question. If there's anything, or is there anything in the seed that you want to do better?
Or that you wish
Ganon.
you'd done better.
Ganon.
It's going to be interesting to see if either of these two runners still on stream unearth a sword. It's not looking likely in this situation, so they might have the same fight that you two did.
I mean,
Yeah, at least they have a bunch of bottles and blue mail and stuff. So it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, the biggest treachery of the Ganon fight on green mail is that everything in that fight does so much damage. If you die once, you're going back and starting with only a fraction of your HP, and that is a risky proposition right out the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even have boots, so I couldn't bonk the tree and get the fairy.
Oh, right. So you started with 7 hearts every time you
Yeah.
died to Ganon. Green
So
mail
basically
too.
every fight was 2-hit KO.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's really rough. Did you have any more bottles, or did you use
No,
them
I
all?
only had one bottle.
Oh, right, the race game. It was a green bottle, wasn't it?
Yeah,
mhm.
I used it on my first attempt because I used the cape, and then I screwed up phase 4. Anyway, thanks for commentating. Thanks to the trackers. I'm going to step out, and GG's, everyone.
Yeah, GG's.
Yeah, GG's to our two runners that finished 1 and 2, Gamachu and ATM. Once again, thanks guys for volunteering to stream. Always fun watching our runners play.
Thanks for having me. GG's again, all, and thanks for commentating, restream.
GG's. You have a wonderful night. All right.
And we'll take this moment while they're departing our little post-race interview to remind everyone that's in the chat, if you like what you see here, give our runners a follow.
Definitely, these two had an amazing run, and I definitely think you should give them a follow.
And in a reminder as well that we wouldn't be a crew without my co-commentary tonight, with 5D100 joining me on the mic. And of course, we had two trackers tonight, D2 Kemps, Jinxie Girl, pushing the buttons, making sure that if we miss something, they don't. But we're not quite done here yet. We still have two runners on Restream. We had 18 entrants in this race, and I'm just going to give you a quick recap of who's who at the top of the leaderboard here. Obviously, we know 1, 2, Gamachu, and ETM. Finishing in third place would be Hydropower with a time of 1:12 and 22 seconds, 10 seconds behind ETM. Fourth place is Floppy Bacon, getting a 1:13. Dataplet finishes right behind him, 1:14. DJ Darkwing D with 1:14, 15 seconds behind Dataplet. And Plasma Kempo finished in 7th as we finished up our interview here. They have a time of 1:27.39. That means there are still 11 runners rolling around here. And you're looking at two of them, and Adalor has his crystal out of Ice Palace. And Adalor with the flute opted to stock up on blue potions, but not Ice Palace, Swamp Palace. I don't even know where we are anymore. But that's because Signums is in Ice Palace, and he took care of Cold Stare. So just like that, our last two restreamers are on 7 crystals, and they are headed to fight Ganon. $5D, do you think this is going to be tight?
I think it's going to be fairly tight.
We're choosing to go back to the house and start from the portal and just beneath. And Signums has decided to flute to 5, and he's going to walk over from the pot area. Adalor's got a little bit less ground to cover. But it's going to be who takes care of Ganon first. That will be the question.
definitely a big question. At this point, considering the blue mail on both of our runners, I mean, all of it's even at this point. But considering that Adalor got a big lead on Signums going in, I mean, chances are that'll win him the race.
Still too early to tell. Anything can happen here when you're stuck with this Master Sword endurance fight.
Oh, definitely. I mean, medium alone goes to show that, yes, there's a big chance to die again and through to stake.
Alright, Adalor has advanced into Phase 2. Ganon started in the corner, but just missing the position of getting in that third tile on the top row to get the spins here. Of course, they're going to see the same patterns here, so it's all execution at this point. Oh, I thought that Ring of Bats was going to be way closer than it was. And you get look at Adalor's bottle menu. He has 4 bottles. I didn't see where the 4th one got picked up. One of them contains a fairy, which he will utilize right now.
Oh, and looks like a blue potion. Or blue potion? Red potion? All I saw was hearts filling up, so not sure if it's blue potion or red potion, but it's one of them.
You want to call this fight even? Look what Adalor has at Signums. It's not. He has half magic.
Oh, never mind. Adalor, if he had cape, would definitely be able to take out... Or, he uses cape. We'll be able to take him out quite easily.
And I don't want to leave everyone out here. 54 of you trading over from Speed Gaming 1. Thank you for joining us in these potential final moments of our Link to the Past Randomizer Daily Race. We had a fast Ganon today, and as you can see, there was a little bit of disparity in how the seed turned out, but we've got our 2 runners last on Restream almost neck and neck here, with Adalor about to go into Phase 4 Ganon, and Signum starting all over a little bit here. There it is, Phase 4 for Adalor, who does not have a lamp and will utilize the fire rod to light these torches. The Ring of Fire Bats giving us a little bit of heartburn there for a moment. And just like that, that is Ganon down for Adalor, and all he has to do is cross that bridge, and he can say sayonara to this seed.
You have to be careful crossing that bridge, though. I have heard stories of people accidentally falling off that bridge.
But not today, and that is Adalor.
Not today.
3rd on our restream, 8th place overall with a time of 1:32.59 on race time. GG to Adalor.
GG's to Adalor. While they did make a blunder by going all the way up to do some Turtle Rock, I mean, they still managed to make it through just fine, so all is... Ooh. Though Signum's taking another hit in the face by a bat, so... rough.
Yeah, Signum's getting the Ganon not playing nice treatment with the fire bats, and I think actually he does not have a way to replenish his magic right now. He's probably going to have to go to... Well, he does have a green potion.
He has a green potion, but at the same time, it's like, do you want to go ahead and do that, or do you just want to go ahead and
So he's going to use
extra...
it to get the fairy. That's actually rather ingenious.
Oof. They're going for the fairy, but ended up missing it.
They swallowed it? Well, even then, that puts them at 14 hearts going back down here.
Full health,
And
at least.
they'll be a little bit more comfortable.
I would definitely feel a lot more comfortable with a full set of 14 hearts compared to just 8.
Cautious and methodical like you kind of have to do, especially if you're in green mail, because the trident alone does a lot of damage. But don't run into Ganon. This is where the treachery of doing Master Sword Silverless comes into play later, but we have silvers to make phase 4 a little bit easier. That, I believe, was the sound of Adalor joining us in chat. GG, my friend.
Gee, I'm really upset there was nothing in Turtle Rock.
There was nothing, not even of consequence in Turtle Rock, and I know both routes are right there. What made you think that that was going to be the play?
I mean, it's not only that, but it's green Turtle Rock. I mean, obviously I decided to bail out on Trinex because I was like, I don't know, normally I'm not that bad at Hammer Trinex, but my rhythm was off, and I'm like, no, I have no resources left. I'm just going to go check everything else, because I did just get the flute, so I'm like, alright, I'll go to Meyer area and stuff, but it felt so, like, it felt so right, finding everything to access TR, like, suddenly right there, and it's Turtle Rock. When is there not progression in Turtle Rock? Apparently in this seed.
Today is the answer to that question.
I've had so much progression in Turtle Rock lately. I can't even tell you how many bows I found in that dungeon lately. That's why I'm just like really surprised and upset that there was nothing there.
So the question I have for you, you showed us on screen what you might have thought when you went back to Ice Rod Cave, but let's hear it right from the mouth. What are your thoughts on that spot for flippers?
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's an easy thing to do. You know, you skip Ice Rod Cave forever, and sometimes it bites you. And my usually thought when I skip it is I will go back and check it whenever I have like boots or ideally flute. So that was part of my, oh, I found the flute, I guess I can go check out Ice Rod Cave at some point. Yeah, doing that sooner would have been obviously a great idea, because there would have been more dungeon go moding involved.
And the first sword we actually saw was the sword that dropped from Argus, so definitely a very interesting start to the seed here that, you know, kind of soured a little bit late for you.
So we had some people doing Hammer Argus then. Fun times.
Yeah, we had at least 2 runners do Hammer Argus. We had a few Hammer Blinds as well.
Yeah, my Hammer Blind could have been better, but I pulled it off. I think that was okay.
Actually, I think it was
pretty decent.
I think it was Atium who was the only one to go into Thieves Town with a sword.
Jeez, okay. Did we find any other swords besides Argus and Paradox?
On the restream, we haven't seen one. I've seen some chat where people are saying there was a sword in Meyer.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where they would have seen that. Wasn't on our screens. And of course, someone who just finished on Race Time just commented, "What are swords?" So let that be your indicator that swords were kind of hard to come by, and that's something that we were talking about going into the seed, was it not, 5D?
All I know is that it was just hard to find swords.
No kidding. I was honestly pretty happy to get through as many dark rooms as I did without a sword.
Oh yeah, that was definitely impressive.
It kind of worked out. Like Eastern is one of my favorite dark rooms to do swordless, because it just feels really good when you get like the hook on the 2 pots and neither of the Stalfos get in the way, because sometimes the upper right one will move in such a way that he trolls you, and then you have no idea what's going on. But that was smooth. Pod Dark Room, I was a little worried about that one, but it went a little better than I thought it would. And I'm glad I didn't have to do Mire Dark, because that's the only one that would have really worried me.
Oh yeah,
So with
Mire
that-
Dark is not easy.
So with that in mind, Adalor, would you like to hear where you skipped the lamp?
Oh man, see, I was thinking it was going to be an ice rod, because it's like, I feel like, because the lamp has got to unlock the entire mountain, obviously. Is it Graveledge?
No, actually, the lamp was on the left side of Swamp,
Oh, left side swamp. Ew. Oh man.
which tells you that lamp and this first sword in Swamp put Swamp very up logic in this scene.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, if I'd found the flippers earlier, that would have been a very easy do swamp as early as possible. Yeah, I mean, I was holding out for the flippers. I wasn't about to go into ice without them because I know they're required, and I'm like, you're not going to find them in ice, so I'm just going to wait until I've got them and then do those 2 dungeons. If I hadn't have found them in Ice Rod, I mean, that wouldn't have made sense logically, but if I hadn't have found them there, I would have just launched myself over to Skull Woods and then probably done Smith Chain.
So there was a question from one of our trackers tonight, D2 Kemps in chat, saying, is he the only person that thinks Mire Dark is easier than Pod Dark? Adalor, you did Pod Dark in this seed. Share with us your thoughts.
I wish I had a sword for it, because then I couldn't have used a medallion on the turtles. That was my main kind of hang up. Like, I have to basically flail in the dark with the hammer and hope I can hit them. And part of that was exercising some patience when I realized I was probably hitting one and knocking it away and not reaching it. So I would, like, with the last couple, I'm like, wait for it to hit me, then hit it back, and then try to figure out which direction it went. But I think I got kind of lucky in there, honestly. So I got 3 or 4 of them, like, pretty quick, and then there were just like 2 stragglers.
So in any other circumstance, that flute would have been very happy to find. In this one, it at least got you blue mail for the Ganon fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The arbor was fucking checkerboard, no less. That was nice to see, finally. Was that the only one that was found?
It was indeed, and only you and Signums on the restream found it.
Jeez, okay. We're gonna have words for Professor at some point, because he's back to his old ways, and I'm not sure I like it.
You know, it's become almost a community staple to crucify the seed roller, but you know, anyone can roll the seed from the Sahasrabot anytime they want, and anywhere that he serves on Race Time, or on the Link to the Past Randomizer Discord, you can have your own open fast Ganon. And probably get something this rude.
It's true.
It was a pretty bad seed, honestly. I do not envy you guys for having to run that.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the flipper is really an Ice Rod Cave, or the only really thing that tripped me up. Everything else I kind of just handled. I felt like for the most part I executed decently enough on it for not having a sword for a good chunk of it. For doing how many dungeons without a sword? 1, 2, 3. It was 3, wasn't it? Yeah. No, 4 dungeons swordless.
Yep. And Signum's finally taking down Ganon. GG's to them in chat.
And just like that, that's all 4 of our restream runners now having completed the seed. Signums will finish 4th on our restream, 14th overall with a 143.29. Between him and Adalor joining us here, we had Orange finish in 10th, Runespasm finish in 11th, Nika in 12th, and Shire in 13th. I also missed Tappy Cat right beneath Adalor by about just under 2 minutes with a 134.43. So it looks like a lot of things going missing. In this case, missing flippers.
Yeah, my thought is I'm expecting several people to have put off Ice Rod Cave for just as long, if not longer than me, and potentially having more troubles than I did with being so limited on equipment. Because I'm kind of used to playing with like low to mid equipment levels at this point. Like I can execute on it well enough, but I'm sure there are people in this group who are less good at it than me.
There's a lot to love about having a little bit of low percent practice, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, a Master Sword Ganon is still not the way you'd want to end a seed.
No, but at least I'm comfortable with it. The silvers were free and very nice to see, because I'm like, all right, because I felt when I found those, I'm like, this is probably a silver or Master Sword Ganon. I'm just really glad that I don't have to do 24 spins in Phase 4. I'll do it. It'll be fine. It just takes time that I don't want to spend.
And GG's to Signums joining us through the Twitch chat. Signums was having a time with Ganon, as did Etium on the seed. I'm trying to think of what to ask that I haven't already asked. So Signums and Adalor both skipping Ice Rod Cave, and I think maybe Adalor, you've already described how you prefer to route it. Do you think this seed might change how you think about whether or not to skip it when it's a Sphere 1 check?
Probably not. I mean, with how much this seed opened up, I mean, it opened up really, honestly, pretty quick. There was a lot to do, and I didn't feel like it was like kind of slow enough or bottlenecked enough to warrant going back there without a really easy way to get there. Yeah, it's really just feeling out whether it's a feeling thing, and I was getting to the point where I could tell that something was there, and it the more and more that dragged on, I was like, there's something there. It's like lamp or flippers or something, and then the flute made that very easy to actually go back and get it. So. And
Signals in chat saying early book went to Desert instead of Ice Rod Cave. Of course, Desert didn't have any payout for us today. It was Boots Lock. The item on the Desert Ledge was a bottle. We already had one. So it feels like a lot of the time it's a spot that you might want to just skip out of habit because of how long it takes to get to it. It's just a long trek, honestly, without flippers, without boots, without a flute.
Yeah.
You kind of want to come back to it. In this particular instance, it was the straw.
Yeah. If this seed had given more money, I would have considered the fake flipper up to Zora area. But then I was like, well, I've got the mirror and all that. This is going to be easy to just mirror after Catfish and check Zora whenever I have enough money. I don't remember if I had the mirror at that point, but obviously it was coming. So
I think the mirror came in didn't it come in really early 5D?
Yeah, it was vendor.
It was, yeah. So yeah, that was my, yeah. With Moon Pearl, I'm like, yeah, I want to do the fake flipper, but only if there's enough money for Zora. I guess I could have done it for Lake and Hobo Check and then Waterfall, but then that feels kind of like you're, I don't know. Zora's half isolated at that point.
Well, that's okay, because you two were almost lockstep going to check Zora later on, and you paid a life lesson today.
Yeah.
So I think you might have dodged a bullet by not trying to do it early.
Yeah. Yeah, with the mirror being as early as it was, I was really happy just to do combined checks. You know, Catfish to Zora, and then the whole south loop with mirror to get both sides at once. That all felt really good.
So I have one final question for each of you. At any point in this seed, with knowing it was Fast Ganon, did it, I would say, interfere with your thought process at all, knowing you weren't going to have the extra checks in GT?
No, not at all.
It made it easier to say I'm in go mode later on, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. Even before the seed started, I'm like, GT's a 7. There's a 7 to go to Ganon, and GT's dead. Like, there's going to be tons of junk in there. It is so unlikely that that's going to be required. Like, that's getting last location if there's something there. That, like, if there's actually like a sword in there or like a fire source, like last location, 100%. If it were a lower crystal count, that's a different story. But when it's 7/7, you're like, yeah, we write it off immediately.
All right, 5D, you got anything else you want to ask Signums in chat or Adalor with us here?
No, I've asked all my questions that I needed. So, yeah, GG's.
Alrighty, gentlemen, final thoughts?
It's rando. That's just rando for you. It's another day in rando. I'm not surprised. This is fun though. It's not a bad seed. It was a tricky one, but I still enjoyed it. It was made me think a little bit about certain things.
Either way, I do want to thank you for giving us some entertainment on the restream. But I do want to thank everyone in the chat for tuning in and just to watch us. Go ahead and in awe at everyone doing their best to go ahead and get through the seat. But that being said, thank you so much. Bye, and have a good one.
Yeah, GG's Adalor, Signums, and to all our other 15 people that have finished the seed, with Professor Renderer having finished while we were interviewing Adalor with a 147.09. There are 3 runners still playing. Freddy N3K, Link to the Past Ken, and Immortal Koi. They will join us probably in some moment here. But one last shout-outs to my co-com tonight, 5D100, and of course myself, Zeruvian. Our trackers tonight were 2D Kemps and Jinxie Girl, and of course the Speed Gaming family and fans for allowing us to share in some randomizer 5 days a week. So I would give you one last invitation to give our runners and crew and anybody you see here or on the race time leaderboard, give them a follow. You know you love it. You know you love some rando.
Well, I don't stream rando. I do occasionally stream some fun rhythm games. And soon to be Tetris, so I mean, there's me. But you don't have to follow me if you don't mind. You know.
Following
Follow
will
who you
always,
want, but
will always be
I
a suggestion.
Right. Follow who you want. I definitely recommend following these runners. That being said, this has been 5D100 and Ceruvian. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful night. And do be well.